Hey, I'm Ron Drotos from keyboardimprov.com, and welcome to our journey through the real book number 187, which is Iris by the great Wayne Shorter. I had about 5 to 10 minutes one-on-one with him in a dressing room at the Blue Note in 1990, 91. Unbelievable. Just sitting on these chairs about 3 feet apart. He was sort of like this, and I had a friend a high school friend of his I'd been working with named Bobby Thomas, and he said, "Oh yeah, go down and say hi to Wayne for me, and then that'll be an introduction." And he was just so nice. I didn't take up too much of his time. It was between sets, but so friendly and focused and relaxed in conversation. Very special memory for me. And that kind of thing, that contact with those people, if you can get that, it stays with us, because we're as part of the tradition as they are, really. We're continuing the tradition. Every time we play, we're part of the tradition. I think people back in the day realized that, but we don't always. We can tend to think, oh, they're the real thing, and we're just... But everybody who plays music continues the musical tradition on this planet Earth. So, very important thing to realize. Very empowering, too. Gives it meaning. So Iris, this is from ESP, the first studio album that Wayne recorded with the Miles Davis Quintet, and he plays the melody. It's sort of like a Wayne Shorter album with Miles soloing afterwards. The thing about tunes like this, it's a medium kind of 3 feel, almost like a abstract kind of waltz. So 1, 2, 3. The chords don't move where you think they're going to move. And there are no 2-5-1s. There are things that hint at 2-5-1s, like on the 3rd line, C minor, going up to D flat 7, back to C minor. That's, it's basically a 1-5, but a tritone substitution. It's like 1, flat 2 dominant, back to 1. That could be seen as sort of an abstraction of a 2-5-1, or a 5-1, 1-5-1. And then even this first line, not the first line, first line, F minor 7 to E major 7 to G flat major 7. In a way, that G flat is again at flat 2 coming down to F minor, although it doesn't go there. So it's almost like a, F and then E major with a sharp 11. A substitute for 5, I think, in a very abstract way, and then flat 2. I'm not saying these are 2-5-1s, but they kind of have that same kind of movement. Or the second line into A flat. If this is a real 2-5-1, we'd have B flat, E flat, and then A flat. But instead we have B flat, D flat, A flat. You see? Just taking a 2-5-1 and smudging the ink, and then altering every chord, but it's... Wayne, like many composers or jazz musicians in general, or visionaries in any art field, they have something that's firmly rooted in the past, but they're doing it in fresh ways, or it has the same kind of feeling. But generally, though, it's not one of those things where you can just play your 2-5-1 licks and stuff like that. But what's going on then? If you listen to them solo on it, these solos aren't as traditional. They were really getting away and trying to find a new way of approaching a jazz tune. And it seems to me that it's kind of like about the groove as it goes through these different colors. And then they sort of play with the groove. It's like if you're a little kid in a sandbox, and okay, I'm gonna take this little bit of sand and I'm gonna make a shape out of it. And this one I'm just gonna sort of play with or rake or something. And this one I'm gonna pour water on and then make a sandcastle or something in a pail, and or mud or something. And that's what they're doing. They're saying like, what's the groove here? Okay, it's gonna be this legato thing. And now I'm going to be more playful. Now I'm going to emphasize the groove more. You could see them, especially Miles in his solo, going through that. It's like, where's the energy here? What's it doing? And as opposed to, I'm going to take, you know, one motif and stretch it out and come to a big high point. In the book Footprints, which is a biography of Wayne Shorter, very good biography, Wayne talks about coming from Art Blakey's band into Miles's band. And in Art Blakey's band, they were expected to do that, have a solo that had this real big dramatic arc, came to a big high point, and then came back down. And with Miles, it was a little looser, and Wayne at this time liked that. They could sort of find these little ups and downs a little more. It wasn't like, okay, we're going to come to this big volcanic high point, sort of like Art Blakey and drums, you know. So there you go, and let's see, I think I might just sort of experiment with maybe a little more out of tempo and just try to find some flow between these chords and get the melody in there, and then move into tempo when it wants to. The only thing that I was thinking harmonically that I like to share is that when you look at a chord like the second chord from the end, D flat minor, flat 6. Well, it's D flat minor and the flat 6 is A. It's basically an A major 7 chord, right? With D flat in the bass, C sharp in the bass. It could also be a voicing. If you put a ninth on it, you know, it could be this A, C sharp, E flat, A flat, which they like so much. You know, it's a big part of this middle 60s kind of music. It's almost like that. It's almost like they're playing a voicing rather than a chord symbol, you know, or functional harmony. It's like a voicing, and then someone had to think, what do I call that? Whether it was Wayne or Herbie or whoever made the real book, you know. The more you get into Wayne's music, you realize that a lot of his music is based on voicings, and he didn't even write out the names of the chords sometimes, or they changed over time, depending on which voicings were used. Okay, here we go. Let's just sort of, and to me the challenge is really entering into a tune like this. So I'm just going to play the first chord, melody, a little out of tempo, and then see where it takes me. Remember I was talking about those voicings? It's sort of the A, C sharp, E flat, A flat voicing. It's got a tritone and a fourth in there, very common in jazz at this time, the 60s. Well, at the end, sort of using that, sort of floating over this D flat. You know, that's a big part of the Miles Davis Quintet's music in the mid-60s. It's like impressionism in a way. It's disguising the harmonies and sort of floating around and seeing where it takes us. That's the great thing about going through the real book, right? You know, this isn't a tune that we might play every day, unless you're so into Wayne Shorter or Miles Davis. But certainly not. You're not going to walk into a jam session and say, "Hey, let's play Iris. 1, 2, 3. What? Open the real book." But by moving from a tune like before this, Invitation, right? We did, and then Iris, which is totally different, and then next week, Isn't It Romantic? It really gives us a chance to study these different eras of jazz and then bring it to our playing in a way that we might not normally do. So I'm enjoying this, and I hope you are too. Thanks for being here, and good luck with your playing, and enjoy it every single time you play.